Welcome to the RotoWire Week 11 start sit stream. I'll give you the whys you can make your best lineup decision. Again, the goal is always to get you 5% edge on the field. We all have numbers, but do we have the understanding of why a player may do well or poorly? That's what we're here for. You'll see the ranking sheet on the screen. It's certainly players are always closer than they really look. In red, the ranking's correct, but the player has added downside, in my opinion, based on matchup. And the same thing is that we have I got Alan Soslowski here, but I can't take his call. But anyway, and players in green have added upside, so we'll have to see what's going on with that. Anyway, as we go through the start sit stream, we will definitely look at these options and I'll answer your question. You want to get to the front of the line, the super chat's the way to get. When I see the thing posted there, the super chat, which I don't always see quickly, it's printed very small. At those points, I downgrade. So I go downgrade the live stream. I go back to the people who are in the super chat, and then you get your question answer first. I do answer these till 15 minutes before kickoff. Let's get the show rolling here. All right, starting off, we got Mike. Morning to you as well. Full PPR. Sit one. You got Drake London, Deebo Samuel, or Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is a decent matchup, actually. The interior is a good way to attack the Steelers. They are missing Alex Highsmith, but they're still going to get quite a bit of pressure. I do think the middle of the field is a place where they'll get Flowers off. And I know he lines up outside, but they do like to get him over the middle. Can get a sneaky play downfield. Deebo Samuel, it's tough because his touches haven't been great. No Kittle certainly helps him here. Drake London probably sees a good deal of Patrick Surtain, but Drake London goes in the slot about 30% of the time. And so she should avoid him. And I'm not even worried anyway, because London is such a big target. It's possible he does well. I think so. I look at it this way. Flowers to me is probably the most stable option, even though his fantasy numbers haven't been stable. I think he's the most stable. I think Drake London has a higher floor than Samuel in this one. I think Samuel has a bigger chance for upside. So if you got to swing for the fence here, that's the way you're going to go. You're going to play Flowers. You want the floor play London. If you want to go boom or bust, then it's Deebo Samuel, who could go off here. But again, if they minimize his looks, then that's always a problem. London should get 8 targets in this one, I would imagine. All right. More than you, Kevin. I hope you have a great day as well. Thank you. You need PPR. You need 3. Dobbins, Jacobs, Pollard, Higgins, Tyreek, Mooney, and more. You need 3 of those. Josh Jacobs is a great matchup. And coming off the bye, I do think that he's going to have a great option there. Good chance of finally getting some touchdown love here. He doesn't always get that going. I do think Higgins is a play here. I think what we're going to see is we see a lot of 3 safety looks and a lot of shell from the Chargers. I think with Chase and Higgins on the field, remember, when Higgins was playing, he was getting more targets than Chase, believe that or not. And Higgins was playing at a very high level. I think they waited till he was completely healthy to come back. So I think you get him in your lineup. The last one's tough. Mooney doesn't have a good matchup, both outside corners and the pass rush are going to be a problem. DJ Moore is going to be hard to trust because we don't know what the new OC is going to do, but he hasn't done anything in 4 games. I think you just can't really take that chance. And then after that, you got Pollard doesn't have a great matchup. His floor is good. But again, he doesn't always see a lot of pass targets. J.K. Dobbins, we think they're a garbage defense, but against the pass the run, they're pretty good. So anyway, for your third one, I'm going to say this. I think the highest floor is probably Dobbins, but I also think then we look at Tyreek Hill and we look at him as the boom or bust option. I think that's the way we kind of go about that one. So Tyreek Hill's your boom bust and J.K.'s your high floor for there. Last week Hill didn't do much, but he does have 72 yards in 2 of the last 3 games. So there's that. He did score a touchdown last week. Could put it together. Richard, Najee or ETN? Well, I get your point, but Baltimore is great against the run. They don't have to dedicate extra bodies to do that. Now Najee gets volume. So Najee has a better floor than ETN. ETN, there's no Bigsby, and apparently Dearness Johnson is a little bit compromised with a hamstring, although he's playing. I think ETN is more likely to catch passes in this game. We get a lot of blitz action from Detroit, and I think it'd be wise for Mac Jones to dump the ball to the running back. So I'm going to look at it this way. Najee's your floor play, but if you got to go boom bust, ETN could have that game as a receiver against this Lions defense. I do think he has the opportunity to make a play or 2 here. But again, both of them are not great plays, but obviously you know that from Najee had a few good games, but last week not so great. YouTube user, half PPR, pick 2 of 4, Pickens, Tyreek, Tillman, or Reed. I'm going to go with Pickens and Reed here. Pickens, first of all, Baltimore gives up a lot in the deep passing game, and that's what Russell Wilson's doing, throwing the deep ball and not completing a lot of passes in 2 of his 3 games. But Pickens is a primary read deep, and I think it's a good option for him. And the Steelers probably have to score some points to keep up. And then Reed, he had 113 yards before the bye. The Bears, the best place to attack them is in the middle. The outside's not so much. Reed plays a lot of slots. I think it's over 60% off the top of my head. But I do think they get him integrated in this matchup. It's a matchup advantage. I like your other 2 players as well, but I would go with Pickens and Reed here. I think they have the most favorable match. Got a super chat question here. Again, that's the way to skip the line. Oh, I want to come on here. All right. Well, I can kind of see. I can't get on the screen for some unknown. Oh, click this. It will. That'll work better. Scott. Welcome, Scott. You need 2 or 3. Higgins, Tillman, Mooney. Thank you. I hope you're well also, Scott. Like I said earlier, I do think Higgins was seeing more volume than Jamar Chase was. I think we definitely take a look at Higgins. We trust him in there. Mooney's going to be a tough one here. I don't like either of the corner matchups. I don't like the fact that Denver puts a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and Cousins looks very skittish when pressure comes. So I'm going to go with Tillman here. New Orleans corners, they traded Lattimore away. The corners are nothing scary at this point. I do think that Chubb can run the ball, but they're going to take some shots. And I do think that Tillman will see at least one downfield shot, and he'll have probably better numbers than Mooney. I trust Higgins and Tillman in this one. All right. That's the super chat function. Moves you to the front of the line. All right. Kevin, you need half PPR, you need 2. Montgomery, Dobbins, Higgins, Bateman, Mooney, or Pierce. We're going to go with Monty and Higgins here. The Lions are 13-point favorites. I do expect they're going to be able to run the ball heavy, especially in the second half of this game. They do love to get them involved in these types of games. So I do think Montgomery has a high floor, high ceiling here. And I think Higgins, again, back healthy. Again, the targets were more than Chase was getting. And with the matchup, there's a lot of underneath stuff he's going to be able to clean up here. I would trust them both. Or Henjar, good morning to you as well. Full point PPR. You've got Jordan Love or Justin Herbert. Bears are great against the pass. I do think that Kraft can have a little bit and Jaden Reed get a little bit going. But I think overall, Josh Jacobs has a good game too. So I think overall, it's like a balanced attack. They're going to score some points. Justin Herbert, I think they're going to trail. And I know the point spread favors the Chargers, but I think Cincinnati's going to get things going. I get that the Chargers defense is good, but Chase and Higgins is a completely different beast for them. So I think the Chase and Justin Herbert has just been amazing through the air, and Cincinnati is not a good pass defense, and Herbert's been running as well. I'm going to go with Justin Herbert here. And Nick's on wave. Now I'm going to go with Justin Herbert still here. Lions versus Miami defense. I play the Lions. The Mac Jones, it's a mess in Jacksonville. Chris, good morning. Would I trade Bijan and Algier for Ken Walker and Cedric Tillman? You have Bijan, Rashawn White, Edwards. You need an ace running back. I would trust Bijan to stay healthier than Walker. Walker just seems to get dinged up an awful lot. And then if you lose him, your running back situation could get real ugly real fast. I would just bank Bijan for the high floor every week, and any running back can get hurt. To me, it just seems like Bijan may be less fragile than Walker. So I would keep that one. All right, good there. Chris, Stafford or pick up and start Geno, Jameis, Tua, or Drake May. You can run the ball all over New England. And if the Rams get a lead, I don't know how heavy pass they're going to go. I don't know if they're a rub-it-in-your-face team. Now, they could win either way. Stafford could throw 4 touchdowns, but they also could see Kyron Williams run for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Stafford gets you that 180 and a touchdown. So it's a real difficult call there. Geno is one of 2 things is going to happen. It's either going to be some kind of a shootout, or the 49ers have a lead and Geno's going to chuck it late, which he usually does. Nick Bosa's less than 100%. Of those quarterbacks, I would probably go with Geno. Obviously, it's close. They're all close. They're all close. I think Geno's going to have garbage time, and he tends to pile up those garbage time numbers. He's done it most of the year. And Charvarius Ward's out for the 49ers, and that gives a free runway, I think, to DK Metcalf. Master J3, good morning to you as well. McConkey, Jennings, Pearsall, Dobbins, all good plays. With Kittle out, that's one less skill position player to eat up targets. Seattle's not been good against receivers this year. Juwan Jennings is in the X role that Ayuk is in, runs completely different routes, but again, very effective, 11 targets last week. I'd give Jennings the edge here. I think he has an excellent floor, and I think he has more ceiling than the others. Dobbins, the matchup, it sounds like it's a good one, like I said, but Cincinnati has been good against the run. They've been bad against the pass, and I think they trail in that one. Rodney, John Smith or Taysom Hill. That's always a tough call with Taysom Hill because he's touchdown or bust, but he gets, gets 4 rushing attempts, he gets 4 targets. They're beat up. Everybody's off their depth chart. John Smith's been very heavily involved the last few weeks, and the team talked about how they like to weaponize him. I don't know why he's getting more targets than Tyreek Hill, but I'm not the coach, so can't really control these things. But against the Raiders, you would think everybody could have a potential to eat for Miami. For Taysom Hill, they're playing Cleveland. Not a good matchup. I'd probably give John Smith a little bit of an edge here based on his recent usage. Forever Student, you got Flowers, Metcalf. Oh, I got another super chat question. I got to come back. Hang on. Like I said, as soon as I see those super chat questions, I get to them. But the number's tiny in my top corner of my screen. Foxborough News, 12 man PPR, London or Jennings. So I just talked up Jennings. London, again, we don't like the cornerback matchup. He plays over 30% in the slot, so they move him off. And if they're in a red zone, I think his size is still something that's going to be very useful. So I'm gonna give a world and a better player. I'm gonna go with London here. I'm not gonna sit my superstar because even in a bad matchup, I always think that Drake London is capable of big things. Where Jawan Jennings, he needs things to fall his way. It could be a Debo game. It could be a McCaffrey game. Whereas London, yeah, Bijan's going to get his, but London is still the player that's been commanding a lot of targets. I'm going to go with the superstar there and call it a day. All right, Forever Student, back to you now. You got Flowers, Metcalf, and Tyreek as your 3 receivers. Higgins and Ramondre are your flexes. Given Kittle's unlikely to play, would I start Jennings over any of those guys? You know what? Tyreek had the bad game last week, but he scored a touchdown. So, and he had 72 yards in 2 of the last 3 games. It's just very hard to sit Tyreek. And I know we haven't seen what we wanted, and I don't know what the whole story behind that is, but I'm probably not sitting any of those guys over Jennings. Higgins, like I said, was getting a lot of targets. I could consider starting him over Ramondre if you're in PPR, if you can. I don't know if that's a running back or a flex thing, but if it's a flex, I would consider starting Jennings over Ramondre. I imagine that the Rams get a lead in this one, and if they do, we could see Ramondre relegated a bit. But I think they're pretty close on that one. Chris, 1 point PPR in the flex. Edwards, Deontay, pick up Elijah Moore, Juju, or Alec Pierce. Gus had 10 carries for 55 last week. If they trail, he might not have a lot of touches here. Deontay has not at all been integrated in the offense, and it's hard to think that he's going to see more than 3 targets. If he does, I'd be stunned based on what we've seen so far. I think that's more of an NFL playoff move to ramp him up by then. So Alec Pierce tends to get that one big play in most games with Richardson. So I would tend to lean Alec Pierce. I know some people are talking up Elijah Moore, but the point is you can run on New Orleans, and I think that they're going to be able to have some success with Nick Chubb in this game. And I don't know if the pass attempts are where they need to be for Moore as the number 3 option, even number 4 behind Njoku. And I know he plays a lot of snaps. There's games he gets targets. I would just go with Alec Pierce here. Juju's going to be hard to trust because when he was the number 1 for that 1 week, he was great. But now with Hopkins, you got Kelsey, you got Hopkins. They're going to run the ball. Don't know how much left is for Juju. All right, got another super chat question here. Thomas, you got flex PPR pick 2. Hunt, Dell, Montgomery, Mooney, McConkey, Jennings. Like I said, Hunt may not have any broken tackle rate. He's like 7th percentile, 11th yards after contact. It doesn't matter. He's getting a ton of volume, and he gets the goal line looks. And Buffalo plays 5 and 6 defensive backs commonly, and they don't tend to deviate from that. So when Kansas City goes with their 2 and 3 tight end looks, I just imagine they continue to bludgeon them on the ground. So I just think you play the volume of Hunt. And then, I do like Dell this week, but Montgomery in a 13-point lead, they have on the point spread they have. I mean, they're going to run the ball, and that's their identity. Especially once they get a lead, they're going to run. So I got to go with Montgomery and Hunt here. Take the running backs. I think they're very high floor. They both have ceiling potential here. Boom bust play would be Dell because he could go off here. Dell's is down 2 corners in this game. I still don't know if Parsons 100%, but they don't have DeMarcus, Lawrence. So, but I would probably just go Hunt and Monty for the floor. But if you're worried about Hunt, not finding the end zone, then I might put Tank Dell in there. I think Tank Dell's going to get some run in this one. All right, let's go back here. All right, we are on Gary. All right, you got half PPR, half for first down. Sit 1. Dell, Shakir, Myers, or Smith and Jigba. Oh, man, that's a good one. Kansas City's been terrible against the slot, so I imagine Shakir does really well here. Smith and Jigba, he got a lot of targets last game, but there was no DK Metcalf, and now Metcalf's back. So but I think they're going to probably have to throw a lot. So I would probably tend to lean them, and then it leaves you with Tank, Dell, and Myers. And I know Myers has been amazing. The 2 games before the bye, he was exceptional. And Miami, though, Miami could cause them a lot of problems. I would probably just go with Tank Dell here with Nico Collins back. Like last week, Dell didn't do well, but with Nico Collins back and Dell is down 2 corners, they got to put attention on Collins, and that should give Dell a couple opportunities. It's hard to sit Myers, but I think in this group, you got to sit him. I got another super chat. All right, let's see what we got here. We got John, Disley or Gesicki. I didn't answer it yet, so you didn't miss my answer. Disley here. Disley's been playing well. He has a very favorable matchup against Cincinnati. I do think they're going to have to throw more than they want in this game. Disley seems to have emerged over Hayden Hurst as the primary tight end in the receiving game. Gesicki has been very good when T. Higgins is out. But when T. Higgins plays, Gesicki's done very little. It's almost like even though they're a tight end and a receiver, Gesicki's trusted as like a field stretcher. So they kind of like move him in there. So I'm going to go with Disley here. All right. All right. I see we got here. Enough said. You need 2 PPR. Lamb, Jennings, Najee Harris, Lab McConkey. I know we've gotten to this point. CD Lamb's a tough call here. So yeah, with CD Lamb, it's going to be problematic, but I tell you what, you can't sit him. Not among this group. You have to, even last week, 6 for 21. I know it's 8 PPR points, but at least Will Anderson's out for Houston, so their pass rush takes a little bit of a hit. I imagine Lamb's going to get targets. If he breaks one, I just don't want to take the player that could figure something and make something out of nothing. So I'm going to play him. And then I think Harris probably has the most stable floor of the rest, but I think Jennings' floor is close enough. And I don't like the Baltimore matchup for Harris. I mean, could he score a touchdown? Yes. But not totally excited about playing Baltimore for this one. So I would probably go with Juwan Jennings, especially with Kittle out. It's one less, top player to have to get targets to. McConkey's always a nice play as well, but I think Jennings may have a little more upside here. So I go with Lamb and Jennings. ETN or Ingram? Well, I tell you what, Ingram has a bad matchup here. So, and so does ETN. They both have bad matchups. Detroit's been one of the best teams in the league against tight ends, and they get a lot of pressure. And I know the idea is Mac Jones gets it out quickly, and maybe Ingram gets some PPR. Jaden Reed in there. Oh, you're done. Jaden Reed, call it a day. I like Jade. Middle of the field against the Bears is kind of a good place to operate, and that's where he plays a lot of slot, and that's probably the best matchup you have against the Bears. So, yeah, Jaden Reed. Knox, Disley, or Taysom Hill. Close between Disley and Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill is safer. You know he's going to get 4 carries. You know he's probably getting 4 targets. Whereas Disley, yeah, we like his opportunity. He's done really well, but could he just disappear? Yeah, he could. They could, focus on the receivers a little bit more. I know I just advocated Disley to someone, and it was a good answer for that matchup. But with Taysom Hill, I think Taysom Hill is a safer floor. And I don't know that Disley has much of a higher ceiling. And Dawson Knox, I don't think his target's great. Kincaid's a slot receiver. And, then we have Disley, Knox, who's more of an inline. They'll use him more in the red zone. I think these two other options are. Can Knox score a touchdown? Could he score 2 touchdowns? Yeah. I wouldn't bet on it, though. Got another super chat question here. Trippy, pick 2. Pearsall, Downs, and Tyreek. I'm going to go with Downs and Tyreek here. The last game that Downs played with Richardson, he had 100 yards. He's been great. They do use the slot a ton. There's downside because Anthony Richardson, but Downs did have a big game with him, so that kind of relieves my frustrations a bit. Tyreek Hill, I got to play. I can't play Ricky Pearsall over him. Last week, he scored a touchdown. He had 72 yards in 2 of the prior 3 games. He's going to get some volume. He'll have an opportunity. There is nothing scary about the matchup. Pearsall, again, Kittle's out, so that maybe helps a little bit. But I still think he's the 4th in the pecking order here. You've got CMC, you've got Samuel, you've got Jennings. Pearsall had the big play last week, and it was well designed, and he had a big game, but he didn't do much outside of that. So I'm going to sit Pearsall on this one. All right, see where we're at here. Max. All right. Max, appreciate you, man. Thanks for always listening to the shows and good comments you give. Appreciate it. Standard, Gino or Carr? I got to go Gino here. Derek Carr, look, he played well in his last game. He got the 2 long touchdowns of Valdez Scantling. Here's the problem with Cleveland. Myles Garrett's up there this week. And I know they traded away Zadarius Smith. That pass rush is elite. And that's the problem with Derek Carr. And even though the Browns give up big plays, they have three really good corners. And I think against this particular receiving room, I don't think they can consistently beat that. I think this could be one of those Carr games where he's in a lot of trouble. Geno gets garbage time. He might not do anything in the first half, but he always gets garbage time. So I think Geno's your way to go. Receivers: Lamb, Downs, Brian Thomas, DJ Moore, Tillman, Vasquez. I'm sorry, Valdez Scantling. When he wrote it, I had to read it that way. Sorry, Valdez Scantling. All right, so I'm not sitting Lamb just because, again, he can make something out of nothing at any time. So we got to always be. It's really hard to sit a superstar unless he's had like multiple bad games in a row. And I think then Brian Thomas Jr. He's had the chest injury. He's had two weaker games in a row. Am I excited about playing Detroit? No, but Detroit, they're going to trail and they're going to have to throw. And Detroit's cornerbacks, they will give up yardage when they're trailing. So I think Thomas Jr. a week healthier from the chest. I think he's your next one. And it's going to be tough between Tillman and Downs. Like I said earlier, the last question, that Downs did have a 100-yard game with Richardson last time they played together. So there's that. I think Tillman has a more stable floor. I think he and Downs both have real upside here. So because Tillman's floor is higher, I would probably lean toward him. All right, let's see. Volmaniac, happy Sunday to you as well. Oh, yeah, thank you. If you hit the like and subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also get you 2 free days at RotoWire. No credit card needed. Just go to rotowire.com/Jimmy. Check out our rankings. All we have to offer would be great. Anyway, you got Drake May, Aaron Rodgers, or Anthony Richardson. So Aaron Rodgers is real tough to trust at this point. He'll have good matchups, but it doesn't really mean a lot. So, look, I'm struggling to trust Aaron Rodgers at all, and I think you should too. Drake May, he has had decent fantasy to good fantasy performance in every game he's played. The Rams are going to get passers, but that means May's probably going to run a bit. And the Rams are probably going to score some points. They're probably going to have to chase a little bit. I would tend to give Drake May the edge here. Anthony Richardson, your extreme boom bust. If you're a big underdog in your game, look, Richardson's last 4 games have not been good for fantasy. He had a 30-point game in week 1. So if you got to swing for the fence, maybe they come out running. Maybe they go to a game plan and says, you know what, we're going to go RPO heavy. But I don't know if they're going to do it. So Drake May's safe, good floor, fair ceiling. But if you got to swing for the fence, then you got to take your chance. Flex. You got Tillman, Irving, or Mooney. Man, Bucky Irving gets you double digits every week. Again, Tillman's got it done 3 weeks in a row. I'm not at no real passers from New Orleans. Corner room's not the same without Lattimore. I'm going to probably give Tillman the edge here. Irving is like the super, super safe one. He's going to get you 12 PPR points probably. So you're probably good there. But Tillman should come close to that, and he'll have upside, a little more upside than Irving, I would think here. And, I mean, again, Tampa's on a bye this week. Tampa's on a bye this week. You don't have Bucky Irving. My bad. You don't have him. He's on a bye. So it's Cedric Hillman. Pitts or Jonnu Smith. I love Pitts' matchup here. I really think the best way to attack Denver's in the middle. He's off the injury report with the hamstring. I think those corners for Denver kind of forced the ball to the tight end. And I think that if Coach Robinson realized that, I think Pitts has a game here. Jonnu Smith been very involved. Good floor. Pitts has had 50 yards in a number of games. He didn't have it 2 weeks ago, but he's had a lot of them. I'm going to give Pitts the edge here. It's close. Trust your gut on that one. Steve, PPR league, need one flex out of ETN, Demario Douglas, Warren, or Ferguson. I did call Douglas as an upside play this week. I think against the Rams, who bring a good passer, I think this is the game where you've got to get the ball out. I think that plays at a slot. I think they're going to trail. They're going to have to play more 3 receiver sets than they want to play. I'm going to give Demario Douglas a bit of an edge here. Your boom bust play is that Travis Etienne with Bigsby out. I think they may need him as a receiver here. Maybe he gets something going in the receiving game, maybe even a long touchdown. It's risky, real risky. I think Douglas is going to have a good floor. I think it's one of those, 6 to 9 catch games for him. Maybe not a crazy amount of yards, but a good floor. Ferguson's tough to trust with the quarterback. Lee, man, thank you. Thank you for listening to the XM show. Appreciate that. And then hanging out here as well. Dowdle. I know Houston's really good against the run. I know Madison, which we not they gave Zamir White a goal line carry in the last game, and he only had, and I don't even get it because Madison was the goal line back earlier. Don't get that. Estime is if they go to what they did last week, he's what was he 14 for 53 or something like that. No, he didn't get targets. Gus Edwards, I know it's tough. I do think Rico Dowdle's your play though. I think Rico Dowdle, they're committing to him. I think his PPR performances have been good. He's going to get more volume in the receiving game than these other players. And I think that puts him over the top. So I think that you're going to get enough varied work, whereas Estime maybe not being used as a receiver. That's a problem. And again, one game, I don't think we can with certainty say it's now completely SMA's backfield. Javante did play 29% of the snaps last week. It didn't result in volume. But what if it's a hot hand thing? What if? And so I'm worried about that. I if you had no other option, I would say something different. I think Dowdle is the play here. I got a super chat question. Ed, that just says super sticker, but I don't have a question attached to it. And if the question's in the live stream, I probably got a couple hundred questions. I'll never find it there. So, oh, good. Ed, you got it. Thank you, Ed. Sutton or Puka? You know what? I mean, I like Sutton as an upside play this week, but Puka has volume. And the problem Puka had last week was the Rams did a really nice, not the Rams, the Dolphins did a really nice job of taking away the middle of the field and just forcing a lot of stuff to the outside. And they kind of had a lid over that, and there wasn't much going on. I just don't see a lot of resistance here. The Patriots this week, I just don't. They got Christian Gonzalez, but I think realistically, the way they're going to move those receivers, I think schematically that the Rams match up really well from a passing game standpoint against a team that gets sporadic pass rush. I like Puka here. Sutton could have a good game as well, but I think Puka could have a higher ceiling but a similar floor. All right, live questions. See where I'm at here. And then Lee's got another one. PPR, Reed, Jennings, MVS, you need upside. You know what? They all have upside here. The Bears, attacking the middle of the field is good. Reed at 113 yards last week. We saw last year, Matt LaFleur really was able to get this offense in the second half of the season rolling. I think after a bye week, he's that coach that's going to figure out what needs to get better. I would tend to bet on Reed in this one. Jennings is close. MVS, like I said, there's going to be a lot of pass rush without the blitz coming on Derek Carr, and Cleveland's rush is no joke. All right, let me see here. Randy, good morning to you as well. Jennings or Tillman? This is super close too. Jennings probably has a higher floor. Here. Taking over as the X receiver for Ayuk. His floor is probably 6 targets. Tillman, 3 good weeks in a row. I do think Tillman has potential for upside here. So I think if you want to go, you need the upside play. I think you go with Tillman because I do think against New Orleans, I think play action is really going to be favorable. I think they could get him on a deep shot, and that would kind of like take care of everything. But Jennings is more stable, I think, in this one. So if you need the safe play, it's going to be Jennings in that case. Got another super chat question. Oh, no, I got it already, I think. I think we're in good shape. All right, let's see. So I'm on 7 there. Okay. And then Steve, point per completion league, Cousins or Russell? Oh, man, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I think it's a very low volume game for Atlanta, Denver. I think both teams are going to have a lot more success on the ground than they will through the air. I think they're going to try to run more. And Cousins, look, he's going to be under pressure. They send a lot of it from Denver. And that I think this is a down game for Cousins. Hey, look, Russell Wilson, the completion that I think they both have low completions. I think Russ is going to probably have to score points because Baltimore is going to put some up on the board here. I think that normally the Steelers can slow them down. This version of Baltimore is different. So I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. I think there's more likely shootout potential, and with that comes more passes and potentially more completions, although Cousins completes a way higher percentage of his passes. All right, Lee, Swift or Jennings? Swift has had 2 meh games in a row after having a stretch of 4 really good ones. I do believe the Bears are going to simplify the offense, and when they simplified it, that's when Swift, did well. Green Bay is not a good defense against the run. They're great against the pass. I think the stability of a running back here is probably the way to go. And I think he catches some passes here. So I'd give him the edge over Jennings. I think the floor is higher. Ridley or Jennings? Ridley's had 3 good games in a row now, and the thing with Ridley is that Minnesota, yeah, they get a lot of pressure, and I shouldn't say pressure. They get a lot of confusing looks for quarterbacks. It doesn't always equate to pressure, but a quarterback perceives it as pressure, and therefore the quarterback will kind of get like the itchy trigger finger and kind of be erratic. But the corners aren't very good in Minnesota, and Ridley has been very good. And it was one game with Levis. The other 2 are with Mason Rudolph. I think Jennings has a higher floor than Ridley because I think you could bank on. Yeah, I said 6 targets. You could bank on probably 5 catches for 40 yards, maybe 50 yards. I think it's a better floor than Ridley, and they both have ceiling. So based on that, if you want the safer floor play, I'd go Jennings. I'd say Ridley's ceiling is higher than Jennings, though. I would say it's higher. Because if Debo has a Debo game or McCaffrey gets going, that really could eat in the Jennings ceiling. Whereas Ridley, if they're trailing, who else is it going to be? So you know what? Let's just go Ridley on that one. Quincy, sit 1. Jennings, Lamb, Debo, Cup, or Mooney. I'm going to sit Mooney. I love Mooney. Drafted Mooney everywhere. But I think the whole thing is either outside corner is a bad matchup. I'm very concerned about what we're going to see in terms of pressure on Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins is not great under pressure. And I think that hurts Mooney here. I'm going to sit Mooney among this group. Just quick news update. Ian Rappaport says Pacheco is expected to be healthy enough to return in week 12, which is next week against the Panthers. So, so maybe one more week of Kareem Hunt. And I imagine it'll be a week or 2 where it's transitioned in. But then after that, it's going to be kind of the Isaiah Pacheco, probably 70%. I think Hunt retains 30. They got to keep Pacheco fresh for the playoff run. Tyreek Hill has met with a specialist for his wrist after the Dolphins win over the Rams. He's had a problem all season, but obviously last week it seems to have become more acute. So there is issue there, but he did score a touchdown last week. So, again, Hill is boom or bust. He should get enough targets to be a decent play, but I do have him a little bit lower in my ranking. Where do I have Tyreek Hill? Let's actually tell you where I have him. Tyreek, where are you? 16. And again, I should have put I put the red on. I got to put the red on him. Realistic, I put the red on him. I should have put the downside on that one earlier. Yeah, he's 16 with downside. Yeah, I should have put that on earlier. All right. Question. I did answer one. No more super chat right now, so we're fine. Again, I go till 15 minutes of kickoff. Anybody needs to move the front of the line, super chats are ready to get there. Lee, full PPR flex. Smith and Jigba or Ingram. Detroit's been particularly nasty against opposing tight ends, and I know Jacksonville's probably going to trail, and the logic might say maybe that means a lot of targets for Ingram. But tight end coverage has been really good. And Smith and Jigba, I know Metcalf's back, but I do think they're going to trail on this one, Seattle. I think they're going to have to throw. I'm going to give Smith and Jigba the edge here. Start 2, Russell Wilson, Drake May, or Tua. Yeah, it is a tough one. I am starting Tua on this one against the Raiders. They have Max Crosby, but the overall pass rush as a whole has not been great. And so I think Tua should be okay in this one. I'll trust him. Between May and Wilson, it's simple. May is a floor play. He is a high floor play. He's probably going to run against that Rams pass rush, and that's going to be very beneficial. I don't know how much of a ceiling there is. I mean, he's had big games. But the Rams get enough pressure. I don't think it's a big game. Russell Wilson's boom bust because the Ravens give up the big pass play. If he connects on those, which he can, the big game comes. But Russell Wilson isn't always guaranteed to hit those big passes. So I think he's a lot more. So you got the safe play for number 2. It's May. If you want to go boom bust, it's going to be Wilson. Winston or May? I tend to lean Winston here. Very little pass rush from the Saints. They traded away Lattimore. Really think that he can get things going here. May is, of course, a high floor play. Winston's variance, though. There is variance at Winston, and there's a lot more variance. So if you just want to be safe and call it a layup, it's May. If it's my lineup, I'm going to start Winston. I'm going to understand there's some downside here, but I do think there's potential for upside. I think Cleveland could really have a nice game today because I do think their matchup with the Saints is very favorable. I got another super chat before I get to Brad. Ray, full PPR start 2. Reed, Higgins, Jennings, and Myers. I'm going to go with Reed and Higgins. I mentioned earlier in the show that the way to attack the Bears is in the middle. Jaden Reed's been playing a very high rate of slot. They got him going for 113 yards in the last game. We saw last year Matt LaFleur really built on that offense in the second half of the season. I think the bye week gives him time to kind of collect those thoughts. And Higgins, remember, in those 4 games he played, he was getting more targets than Jamar Chase. And interesting and crazy as that is, Higgins was really, really productive. And Chargers, I get it. They've been very good against passing offense. It's not the Bengals. And they played a 3 safety look, but their have corner injuries. Yeah, I think Higgins is fine here. Jennings is close. And Myers, I'm going to put him outside that group. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, let's see where I can find my. This moved me way down the list. So I got to figure out where I'm at here. It's going to take me a second to find everybody. Well, it's going to take me a way while to find it here. All right, let's see. Brad, hang around, Brad here. All right, good morning, Brad. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Who do you start, Demarcus Robinson or Alec Pierce? So I think Alec Pierce is always your boom bust play with his quarterback, Anthony Richardson, because Richardson will take 1 or 2 deep shots to Pierce, and there's a chance he hits 1 or both of them, in which case then Pierce ends up on top. There's also a chance that neither of them connect, and then Pierce ends up with nothing. Demarcus Robinson, I know the yardage the last 2 weeks been down a little bit. I think like 20 and a 30. He's normally 40 yards a game. I think against this particular New England defense, they're going to focus on Kupp and Nakua, and they're not going to have a lot of success. I think Demarcus Robinson gets his here. Demarcus Robinson's your floor play. He has a little better floor, but look, I don't think Marcus Robinson has enough ceiling, and I don't think his floor is that much higher than Pierce. So I think I would reach for the ceiling and understand there's a little issue with Pierce doesn't get it done on the deep ball, but I think there's enough here, and I think he does get one. Indy has this matchup against the Jets, and the Jets corners have not been playing at their elite level. I don't know though. I still think those corners might be good enough to handle Alec Pierce. So, I'm going to default. I'm going to go back to Robinson. Let me just go to Robinson. I just think maybe those corners, they're not playing great. They might be Alec Pierce good enough. That might be enough to deter me. All right, I got another super chat before I come back to the next one here. Jay, Pearsall or McConkey? I'm going to go with McConkey here. Cincinnati's not good against the pass. I know the point spread favors the Chargers. I think Cincinnati leads in this game, and I think that Herbert's going to have to throw more than usual. To me, that's a McConkey game. Pearsall, he had that nice schemed up long catch and run last week, but he didn't do it. I mean, there are a lot of short stuff otherwise. And again, you still got Jennings and you got Debo and you got McCaffrey, and they're the top 3 options. And Pearsall's going to have to find the scraps. McConkey doesn't have to find the scraps when they pass because he's become one of the more reliable players for Justin Herbert. All right, let's go back here. Let's see where it kicked me on the questions. I got Brad's. All right. All right. Good morning. Your name is not Jordan. All right. Well, what is your name? All right. Full PPR. You need a wide receiver too. McConkey, JMO, or MVS. So McConkey's your floor play. You definitely want to trust him as a floor play. He has a high floor. But if you want to go boom bust, I would go Jameson Williams. He and Sam Laporta are different positions. I get it, but it's not like Brock Wright's going to step into the Sam Laporta role. Laporta's he's a movable chess piece. Brock Wright's not. I think that when they plan the offense out, the passing game is going to be St. Brown and Jameson Williams. So Williams has real upside, but we also know there are games he gets 2 and 3 targets, and if he doesn't connect on the long play, it's a real problem. Just like Marcus Valdes-Scantling, right? So McConkey's your 10-point PPR floor, 8 to 10 PPR floor. He's fine with that. Jameson Williams could get you 3. He could get you 20. So view it that way. If you want upside, though, Jameson Williams, and I do think Jameson Williams has a great chance to have some of that success. We might have some inactives coming in. Let me take a quick look before we get back to the next question here. See what we find here. Not much yet. We'll get it soon. All right, let's get back to the live questions here. Let me make sure I got all the super chat. Oh, let me see. Did I answer that one already? No, I didn't. I got another one. Got another super chat here. Let me answer this now. All right. Big back. What's going on to you? Tank Dell or Jameson Williams? I think they both have real upside here. I think Tank Dell is a higher floor. I think Tank Dell is benefiting from Nico Collins coming back. Remember, Dallas is down 2 corners. Deron Bland is out. Jordan Lewis, their slot corner, is out, which leaves them with Trevon Diggs. And look, even if Trevon Diggs was matched up on Dell, that's a stylistically bad matchup. Big physical corner against a small, shifty guy. So I think Tank Dell's your player because the floor is higher. Can Jameson Williams outscore Dell? Yes, but he also is more likely to get a 3 or a 4, where I think Dell, he's going to get you at least 7, but I think he has an equal ceiling with Williams, so the probability would lie with going with that. All right, see where we're at here. This bounced me way down, so let's see if I can find the question here. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to find where the question was. Give me a brief moment here. Sorry, let me just check the any injuries yet. Yeah, here. Devontae Adams is active as expected. Jalen Warren has that back injury and he is going to play. Vikings, nothing special. For those of you in like the super deepest of deep leagues, Mason Tipton is inactive for the Saints. So yeah, who's left, right? They don't have a whole lot. Jamal Williams is out. So maybe a little more action for Taysom Hill is who's left. That's kind of crazy. Ravens, we knew Eddie Jackson didn't travel with the team. Yeah, nothing special there. There'll be more inactives pouring in. We'll definitely get to those. All right, so we're on Anthony now. All right, so we got here Downs or Sutton for the flex. Sutton has a higher floor here. He's had 3 really good games in a row, and I do like him. I've marked him with some upside actually this week as well. I think Denver has an opportunity in this game against Atlanta. They're down 2 corners. I don't know if AJ Terrell is going to travel, and if he travels, physical corner against physical wide receiver, that might not be the best in the world, but Bo Nix has been getting the ball to his top receiver, and so I think there's that. But look, Josh Downs, he has a lower floor, but I do think he has more upside than Sutton. Downs at 107 yards, I think, in his last game with Anthony Richardson. So they do have a potential to get it done. But Richardson, again, that could be a disaster. So Sutton is your high floor with some upside. Downs is your extreme boom or bust because he has had bad games at Richardson. In my lineup, I probably just start in Sutton because I don't think AJ Terrell is a player that's going to completely shut him down anyway if he's on him, but I think he's off him enough, and I think that Sutton gets enough targets to justify it. Quincy, Disley or Knox? I'm going to go Disley here. I think that Cincinnati's going to have to chase some points. I know the point spread is Los Angeles -1. I think Cincy plays with a lead. Knox, again, different position than Kincaid. They're both tight ends, but Kincaid's a slot. And Knox, a little more in the red zone. He could see some utility there. So, I mean, Knox has touchdown upside for sure. It's hard to bank on that. And Disley, he's been integrated in that offense. And I do think with Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson gets going in the pass. I think they could use Disley there. I prefer Disley. All right, next one. Mo BBIN, start one, flex, and a tight end. DJ Moore, Jaden Reed, Jamison Williams, Knox, and Ferguson. We're going to go with Jaden Reed for sure. I talked about him earlier, and you heard me talk about him, so no need to go back over that. But I think he's in line for a good game here. Between Jamison Williams and DJ Moore, they're boom bust plays. But Ferguson with his quarterback right now, look, Dak Prescott loves the tight end, and it hurts Ferguson. I'm going to go with Jamison Williams here. I think James Moore hasn't had a game in 5 weeks. He really hasn't had more than like 35 yards. And can the offensive coordinator change? Help? Maybe is under the. I don't know if it's that fast. So I would just go with Jamison Williams and call it a day. Love DJ Moore. I wish I could say DJ Moore, but I have to see something before I can advocate him. I think I got another super chat here before I get back to Ball Maniac. I do. Eric, you need a flex PPR. Douglas, Dowdle, Valdez, Scanlon, or Mike Williams. Mike Williams played 12% of the snaps last week. I think that goes up a little bit each week. He had 1 target, caught it for a 32-yard touchdown. Valdez Scantling had that crazy game, 3 targets, 3 catches, 105 yards, 2 scores. Again, I don't like that Cleveland match. The pass rush can be a real problem. Between Dowdle and Douglas, Dowdle has a safer floor. Again, you've heard me say I think Douglas has a good floor in this game, but Dowdle has like a guaranteed floor. And against Houston, who is good against the run, Houston gets a lead. They'll use Dowdle as a receiver and he'll get targets. So I think the blend of those makes Dowdle safer. And I don't know that Douglas has like this big upside enough to say push him aside. So I think I would go with the safe floor there, and that'd be the way I would lean. All right. See if I can get back to the questions so I can find where we're going. This keeps kicking me down here. All right, let's see what we can do here. I was on Ball Maniac, but that was a different one of yours. I will get here. All right, I think this is where. Yep, I found it. Let me just see if there's any injury updates here. Let's take a look here. Not that it matters. Deontay Foreman inactive for the Browns. Nobody cares, but that means Nick Chubb is obviously going to continue. There was an over bet on Nick Chubb. I got it at like 15 carries. I think he's getting 18 plus in this game. And they had the bye last week, and they're facing a weak run defense. So anyway, there's that. Tyler Boyd, again, he's done nothing the last 2 weeks. He is active, but again, he has not done a thing. Jets, Tyron Smith, as we knew, inactive, but they just moved the rookie Oli Fashanu in there. But the line's been bad anyway. Patriots again. KJ Osborne been inactive in most of the last 6 games. Teron Armstead, left tackle for the Dolphins, is playing. That certainly helps them a bit, and that's what I have for now. All right, let's get back to the questions here. I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman here, Volmaniac. Again, I've got to see Thomas Brown, the offensive coordinator, actually do something tangible with DJ Moore. It's not Moore's fault. He's a superstar, just in a toxic situation. Tillman's played really well 3 games in a row. There's no reason to overthink that one in my mind. Look, DJ Moore has a game, great. You play him next week. But as of right now, you just kind of work against that. All right, let's see where we're at here. Michael, more than you as well. You need one. 12 team, full PPR. London, McConkey, Devontae Adams, Tua starting, Chase and Puka. All right, so I am going with Drake London. Yeah, the cornerback matchup isn't ideal, but look, I'm not sitting a superstar. He plays a slot enough to get him away from. They play zone some of the time. They don't play full man. No team does. So I'm going to go with London here and not worry about it. I don't know if McConkey has the upside here. Adams, I know Adams been a little disappointing, but he's getting a ton of targets. And Indianapolis, really not worried about the corners here. I know Rodgers is a disaster. I'm going to play London and Adams here. Lee, Reed, Jennings, or MVS for upside. I think it's Jaden Reed. I think Jaden Reed has equal upside or more to the other ones. And I mean, his floor is better too, I think. But I think they're going to get him 113 yards last game. They're going to get him cooking after the bye. They did that last year. It wasn't the bye, second half, but LaFleur is very good at getting it pieced up. J Red, good morning to you as well. Need a flex for a PPR. MVS, Watson, QJ, or Ferguson. You cut one for a kicker. If you're good at tight end, I think you could cut Ferguson because look, Dak ain't coming back. I'm heavily invested in Ferguson. I just don't think Cooper Rush could tap into his upside. I think you might see a lot of 4 for 30 games, 5 for 33. I just don't know how many points that was because Ferguson's touchdown upside is kind of gone. So yeah, I would probably cut him first. I would start Quentin Johnston in this one. Look, I know he gets like 1 to 4 targets in most games. And he's been fortunate to get some busted coverages. But Cincinnati's not a good secondary. And I think they're going to have to throw here. So I would go with Johnston. I got a super chat. I'll come back to Johnny. Super chat here. Let's see. All right, next one. Start 2. Metcalf, Dell, Jameson, and Hopkins. So Charvarius Ward is out for the 49ers, and that's huge because Metcalf has had, I think he had 52 and like 32 yards in the last 2 games against them. But that's because Charvarius Ward and him just getting a fist fight every game. They beat the heck out of each other. So yeah, with no Ward, Metcalf's wheels up here. And then I think Hopkins and Dell have similar force. Remember, Dallas is down 2 corners here. Jordan Lewis, their slot corner, is out. Deron Bland is out. They got Diggs, Trevon Diggs, but Diggs is not a good matchup if he is ever on Dell and he's not on Collins. So I'm going to go with Dell there. Jameson's boom bust. We know Hopkins, I think, has a high floor, but Buffalo doesn't tend to give up a whole lot in the passing game. They're very good with their zone coverages. So I think Hopkins is more of a floor play, but I think Dell has a similar floor. I'm going to go Metcalf and Dell there. All right, let's see. We got a good hour left. See how we're going through questions here. News check. Let me see if there's any other inactives that we need to know of. Colts are going to be without again left tackle Bernard Raymond. We kind of thought he was going to be out. That's a big deal. Their center Ryan Kelly's already out. They lost their right guard earlier about a month ago, Will Freeze. That offensive line's been one of the best in the league, but they're down 3 legitimate high pieces on that line. The Jets have not been great, Shakes. I still think Jonathan Taylor's okay here. Jets are terrible against the run. I think they're going to use a little more RPO with Anthony Richardson, so I think that's going to help. But this is not optimal for the Colts here. And again, the Jets don't have a great pass rush, so there's that. Rams, nothing. Oh, they're both their right tackle Rob Havzine and his backup Joe Noteboom are out. I don't know if it's going to matter much against the Patriots. Michael Mayer of the Raiders is active after being out on a personal issue on the injured reserve. Again, he might see a couple targets. That might be it, but nobody we're endorsing in fantasy. He might not even play for all we know, right? And I think that's kind of good there. All right, let's get back to the start-sit questions here. All right, so Johnny, you want to know which quarterback to stream? May, Winston, Cousins, or Rodgers? Normally, it'd be Cousins all day, but I don't like the matchup. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. And when he's been under pressure, he looks very skittish. And the Broncos have the corners to kind of back it up. So I don't like Cousins this week. I think it's Rodgers is tough to call because if they're not trailing, which they may not, they might just be very conservative. He's obviously having issues. So to me, it comes between Drake May and Winston. I think Drake May has a good floor here against the Rams. I think they're going to have to score some points. I think that helps him. Um, I would trust him as the floor play. Winston's going to be volatile, and Winston could have a game here. There's very little pass rush from the Saints. Corner room isn't what it was. So I think May, if you want safe, high floor, if you got to swing for a big game, you hope that Winston has to throw more than expected and kind of go that way. But the safe one is Drake May. Let me make sure. I might have another super chat here. Hang on. Let me make sure I don't lose my questions here. All right, I'll go to there and let me see how we do. All right. Yeah, another super chat here. All right, Jay gave up on the regular chat. Oh, I get it, man. I get it. This is the way to get your question answered and get on with your day. I totally get that. All right, PPR receiver, pick one: Ridley, Waddle, or Tillman. Ridley's interesting here because look, he's had 3 good games in a row, and we definitely know that that's been great playing Minnesota. And here's going to be the issue: the confusing looks they send, and Will Levis how he interprets those. So I do think Ridley has a really low floor, but those corners can be beaten easily. So there is real upside here. Waddle doesn't have enough upside right now. Tillman is the safest of these 3. He has really been the downfield threat, and we know Winston against a team with little passes that likes to play action, likes to throw it downfield. Tillman is your floor guy, but I think Ridley is your boom bust because if they're trailing and Levis just starts uncorking it, Ridley could have you a game. So if you need big points, Ridley. If you want a stable floor with a decent ceiling, I'd go Tillman. Ingram, I'm going to go with Hockenson. The Lions have been phenomenal against opposing tight ends, and I think that could be very problematic for Evan Ingram. Whereas Hockenson, look, he's only playing 46% of snaps, but his targets went from 5 to 9. And I think that Sam Darnold, something that's right about his game is getting it out. And TJ Hockenson allows him that. And I think the offensive coordinator, I should say head coach, actually, Kevin O'Connell, I think he's going to start realizing this. We just get it out of Darnold's hands. The longer he holds it, the more bad things happen. Tennessee's been very good against tight ends, but this is TJ Hockenson, and he looks like he's close enough to back. So I'm going to go that route. Yeah, like we just said with Jay, you want to skip the line because I try to get to every question, but time runs out fast. And so many great people in here. So you beat the line. Super chat's your way to go. All right, let me go here. Back to the questions here. Henry, hey to you as well, Henry. And I know you'll have a question beneath this, and I'll see it a few down there. I do see it. Josh, Taysom or Andrews? Oh, man. I'm going to go with Andrews here. Andrews has been playing at a real high level. Pittsburgh, down Alex Highsmith, their pass rush will be a little bit different, but I think that's still the middle of the field is where you want to attack Pittsburgh. And Andrews, I think 5 games ago, he didn't have a touchdown, and that was one where Lamar missed him. He's scoring almost every game now. His yardage is settling in the 50s. Taysom's 2 boom or bust, and I don't think his boom is higher than Andrews. Andrews still could have that big game. So I'm going to go with that. I would definitely go that route. All right, next one. JMO, Metcalf, Hopkins, or Dell. I may have answered this. Well, maybe not. I'm going to go with Metcalf and Dell. I think they have the higher floor and ceiling of this quad. Dwight, Higgins, or Dell? Oh, that's a tough one. Higgins was seeing more targets than Chase in those 4 games they played. He was very, very good. Dallas is down 2 corners for Dell. But if they run the ball and they have a lead, maybe they don't throw as more. I think that's true. I'm going with Higgins. I think that game is more of a shootout than people think. And I think that as good as the Chargers playing, they're not stopping T. Higgins. I'm going to go with Higgins. Higgins has a better floor. They both have a good ceiling. Eric, Allen or Wilson? Oh my gosh. I'm assuming you're meaning Keenan Allen. You know what? I have no idea who you mean. Give me a first and a last name on him. I have no idea who you mean. There's other Wilsons, there's other Allens. Yeah, that's it. Bill, great comment. Thank you. PPR only get 2 from McLaurin on Thursday. Yeah, I know. I'm worried about Washington's offense because look, they had 3 tough matchups in a row, and I know Daniels has the rib issue. I get all that, but Cliff Kingsbury's fallen into the old Cliff Kingsbury trap when we in Arizona. We used to blame Kyler Murray, and we used to say, well, Kyler Murray is the problem because he fades in the second half. Maybe not. Cliff Kingsbury's offense, there was film on it, and he never changed. Everything's like so static. And then once the league picked up what Kingsbury wanted to do, the whole offense goes with him. Well, guess what? Terry McLaurin, 75% on the left. Remember back in the Arizona days, DeAndre Hopkins, full time on the left. All these concepts, the flat passes, it's all predictable now. Defenses have a ton of film on it, and I don't think Cliff has a change up. So that's not the question, but I want everybody to think about that. Maybe I'm wrong, and Jaden Daniels hasn't been great, but if you could sell Jaden Daniels, you have another quarterback, consider it because people are going to remember those 30-point games. All right, let's get back to your question here. DJ Moore or Romeo Dobbs? I'm going to go DJ Moore here. Romeo Dobbs has a decent floor, but he's going to see a lot of Jalen Johnson or Tyreek Stevenson. And the best matchups for the Packers are the run game, Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed in the middle of the field. I think those are their best matchups. DJ Moore hasn't done anything. Even if that offensive coordinator, Thomas Moore, does a little bit different, just DJ Moore, I'm going to give you 2 routes that are like real NFL routes that get you open quickly. And Caleb Williams, he's your first read. That'd be enough. I'm going to go DJ Moore here. Henry, need a running back 2 and a full P. Algier or Mostert? Look, I don't know. Mike McDaniel had this answer, and it sounded like it didn't make sense. Mostert didn't see a carry last week. He had a couple targets. I'm going with Algier. The workload is bankable. And Denver, they're real small up front. A power runner like Algier could get you 7 carries for 40 yards. Will he get 40 yards? I can't guarantee that. But I'm going to go with Algier here. Mostert's usage last week was troubling, and I don't know what the issue is. Because of that, if you got to go boom bust, if you need 15 points, Algier ain't getting you 15. So if you need 15, then take your chances flipping the coin on Mostert, because if he goes back to a normal workload against the Raiders, Mostert could go off. No question he could go off. So understand that's in the hip pocket. Maybe Algier's floor isn't high enough to justify that. So, but if you want to guarantee yourself like 6 points, it's Algier. But if you need upside, I got to go Mostert. Michael, thank you for recommending to hit that like button. I mean, I appreciate that greatly. Raptors can't stream anything today. Sounds like Netflix at the Tyson fight. They had to throttle that thing down to 360p so people could watch the fight. Oh my gosh, that part was bad. I'm old, so it was like me back sitting in the living room in the 80s watching this on this box TV. Super chat. Let me see. I'm all caught up there. Okay. All right. So yeah, I get you, Raptor Jesus. All right, Brendan Ryan, Jawan Jennings or Jaden Reed. I'm going with Jaden Reed. You heard me say it throughout the show. Middle of the field is where you attack the Bears. Great game last week. I think Jaden Reed's in for a strong end of the season. We knew L'Jarius Sneed was inactive for the Titans injury update. Jair Alexander is playing with a knee injury against the Bears. That helps them. Bears, their guard, Tevin Jenkins, is down. He may have been passive on the depth chart anyway, so maybe that's not even a big deal. All right, let's get back to the start-sit questions here. All right, so we went with Jaden Reed there. Jennings is a nice play. They're very similar. Here. But Jaden Reed, I think, has that potential to go nuclear. He could do that in the middle of the field. And we go Jaden Reed for everybody. But they're close. Trust your gut on that one, Brendan. Jay, yeah, I think we did. We answered that one for you. I think you're good. We answered that one for you. Appreciate it. But I did say Tillman was the safest, but Ridley has very high ceiling potential with floor, low, very, very boom bust. And then we said Hockenson a tight end. Thank you for appreciate that, Jay. Gary, you need TD upside. Jennings, Myers. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to say Jennings here. Jennings isn't fast, but he's schemed into space. And I think in the red zone, he could be a primary look if they're outside the 5-yard line, but in the red zone, he could be a primary look because of the size and no Kittle. So I would say if you need TD upside, it'd be Jennings here. I don't know how many points the Raiders are scoring here. Maybe they score, but Miami played well on Monday night. David, PPR, Hopkins, Mooney, Smith, and Jigba. I'm inclined to go Hopkins here. Mooney, again, I think Cousins is going to be under a lot of pressure, and that's not going to bode well for him. Smith and Jigba, he got a lot of targets, but remember, there was no DK, and I like Smith and Jigba here. I think Hopkins has a more stable floor. I think he has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I know Smith and Jigba had that massive game, and that's going to like freak everybody out because now that's in his range of outcomes. I think that worries people. But I do think Hopkins had 4 for 50 against Patrick Surtain in that group. That is an accomplishment, right? I'm gonna go Nuke Hopkins. I think I got super chat caught up. Yeah. All right, good. All right, C. Faulkner, good morning to you as well. May or Richardson? Well, this is going to be a risk tolerance question. May has had a great stable floor in almost every game he's played, and there's no reason to expect any less here. Rams are going to bring some heat, but I think May's just going to run from it. And the corners are not overwhelming, so I think he gets enough. I think they got to chase points. Richardson, he had 30 points in week 1, but then he didn't have I think more than 17 in any of his other games. He had some 10s in there. I don't know if Shane Steichen's going to go with RPO base. He needs to. He should. He should. And then Richardson could maybe run for 60, 70 and a couple touchdowns. So Richardson's your boom bust play. If you need 28 points from your quarterback, May ain't getting you that. May might get you 20. So if you need 28, big, huge game, but you're risking a low floor, it's Richardson. If you just want to call it a day and just say, let my other position players win me the game, then you go at May. Andy, hello to you. Needed one in the PPR. London, Adam. Oh man, that's a tough one. You got 3 great players. Look, Aaron Jones hasn't been ripping it up, but the volume is there every week. And the Titans on paper are a good defense. They have not played a tough schedule, and they can't focus on Aaron Jones. I'm going Aaron Jones here. I think Jones has the most stable floor of this group. Adams, look, they might not. If there's a low scoring game, they might not have to throw a lot. London, this is the case. Earlier, I said if you have him against inferior players, now he's going to see a lot of those Denver corners and Cousins under pressure. Now I don't want to deal with that because I got Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones gives me that stable floor and a reasonable ceiling. So that's why I'm going to default to Aaron Jones there. Ricardo, 1 to start. Love Herbert or Darnold. That's a close one. I think the Packers, you heard me talk up Jaden Reed, and I think Kraft is a good matchup, but I think Josh Jacobs is the best matchup of them all. And I think that the Packers get a leader, and it's just a matter of, does Love get the points in there before they get the big lead? So I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to cover this game. 5.5 line. I like Herbert here. Line is 1 for Chargers. I think Cincinnati plays at a lead. I don't think the Chargers have played any offense like this passing game is cooking. Higgins is back. I think they're going to have to chase. And Herbert looks great. And he's running too. I'm taking Justin Herbert here. Kyle Dubs, Chubb, ETN. I'm going with Chubb. And I know I'm a Nick Chubb apologist. So everybody, whenever you ask me about a Nick Chubb question, I'm always going to be biased. All right. So you get that. But look, he had 3 really bad matchups. And his yards per carry are 2.7. He's playing the Saints. The Saints can't tackle. And the whole line is healthy now. They had a bye last week. Chubb's getting 14 to 16 carries in a game. I'm going with Chubb here. If Chubb's going to get anything going, it's going to be here. He's going to get volume here. And if they're at the goal line, I don't see the Saints stopping him. I'm taking Nick Chubb. I love Nick Chubb. All right. Ricardo, Chase or Debo? I can't sit Jamar Chase. And look, I don't care about what the numbers say about the Chargers defense. Don't care. Jamar Chase is playing at Superman level. He's winning underneath. He can win deep. You can't sit Jamar Chase. And remember, Debo doesn't get a lot of touches. And I know there's no Kittle, but Chase is going to see Chase's floor has to be super high here. A lot of 3 safety looks from the Chargers, and if nothing else, they're just going to pepper them underneath. And I know Higgins gets a lot of targets. I get that. Lee, I think you asked this already. We're going with Dowdle here. We're going with Dowdle. Dowdle's going to get volume. Matchup's not bad. If they trail, they're going to throw him the ball. They're committing to him, it seems like. Don't like him. So he's not a good runner, but volume's king in fantasy football, right? Guy, you got Sutton, Pollard, or Thomas Jr.? Pollard's had a lot of bad matchups, but he's always gotten it done. And Minnesota's tough. But Pollard always gets done. Sutton is a great floor play. Pollard's a great floor play. I think Pollard probably has the safest floor because he's probably getting 15 touches here. And he's just all year, bad opponents. He breaks a long run or 2. So they use him in the goal area too if they get it down there. Thomas Jr. is the highest ceiling of this group. And the chest injury seems to be getting past them. Detroit corners are not good. Detroit probably has a big lead. I know they have Mac Jones, but they probably have to chase points. So Pollard's your safe floor play. But, man, if you want to swing for the big game, then Brian Thomas Jr., he's, again, another week removed from that chest. 2 bad games, but he's been playing hurt. So Thomas Jr. is your boom bust play, but Pollard's your safe one. Got a super chat before I come back. The next one. Fabian, Herbert or Stafford? Fabian, you heard me a minute ago talk about Herbert. I'm going to trust Herbert here. Again, unlike the points, but I think they're going to trail. I think he's going to throw. He's been phenomenal. Stafford, we just see it. Once in a while he gets to 4 touchdown games, but more often than not, it's a 1 touchdown game. It's 220 through the air. They're playing New England. They're on a short week. Kyron Williams should be able to run the ball down their throats. It's Stafford has too much volatility where I think Herbert is going to have to do something here, and he's proven he can. I'm going to go with him. JSN. All right. JSN, Pollard, Waddler, Pearsall. You need one of those. I think Pollard has the best floor of this group. Like I said, he's getting it done all year against tough opponents, and he just consistently gets it done. JSN, with Metcalf back, probably sees a little decrease in targets. Pollard's the safest play. I think there's a chance that JSN has like that boom bust. He has some ceiling here because if this game gets into a shootout, which the 49ers could push that, then JSN could ratchet up points. But I think he has a lower floor than Pollard. But I don't know if the floor is that much lower. So I probably would just say, you know what? Since JSN is more ceiling, I'm going to give JSN the whirl here. I don't think Pollard has a real upside game here. Could it happen? Yes, but Minnesota's been real tough against the run. All right, let's see what we got here. And we are on this now. Odunze, I like Douglas. I was calling this to be a 6-9 catch game for Douglas. They're going to trail the Rams. The pass rush is going to come in. That means the middle of the field should be open. That should be an easy pitch and catch for Drake May. Odunze, look, that Bears offense, I don't know what Thomas Moore is going to do, but it's just not been a functional passing game. And remember, Green Bay is one of the better pass defenses in the league. Saints or Browns defense. Give me Myles Garrett. Derek Carr, when he's under real pressure, it could get ugly fast. And I don't think the Saints defense is a great play because Nick Chubb potentially could run the ball on the road. The Saints can't stop the run. They can't tackle anymore. All right. Next. Do we start DK? You are going with DK here. No Charvarius Ward. That's a big deal. Last year, DK had like 52 yards and a 32-yard, 1 touchdown in the 2 games. That was it. But that's because Charvarius Ward and him like beat the heck out of each other for 4 quarters. Yeah, I think that DK's going to be fine here. Jonathan Taylor, I assume, is JT, and Taylor's very close. Look, I honestly would say this. Taylor has a higher floor than DK. He definitely has a higher floor because the Jets can't stop the run. Taylor's floor is probably 12 fantasy points. So if you're going to, if you want that floor, and can Taylor get in the end zone? Yes. I don't know how many points Indy's scoring here. So I think DK might have more ceiling. But if you want the floor play, though, then go with Taylor because he's going to get volume. Richards is going to help him. Jets are bad against run. So maybe now I rethink it. Just go with the floor because they both probably have a comparable ceiling. All right, we got Dan next. Oh, I got another super chat here. Hang on. OG Bobby. Need a running back and a flex in PPR. Hopkins, Swift, Jennings, and Chubb. Yeah, this is a good one here. Swift has had 2 meh games in a row. Bears might fix some things, and the Packers aren't a bad matchup. Chubb has a cake matchup, and he had 3 tough matchups when he came back. That's why he has 2.7 yards per carry. Even Cincy, we think they're trash. They're good against the run. Chubb finally has a good matchup. A week off, I think, really helps them. Their line is healthy. I'm going with Chubb at running back. For your receiver question, I think Hopkins has a higher floor than Jennings because they're going to have to throw some. And we saw 4 for 56 against Patrick Surtain. Bills are good, but they're not Patrick Surtain good. And Hopkins is really emerging here. So I'm going to go with Hopkins and I'm going to go with Chubb. All right. Let's see if there's any injury notes here. I got to update anybody on here. No, I think we're caught up for right now. All right, we're in for another 42 minutes, so hey, keep hanging out. I probably have a gajillion questions here, so let's just see here. Oh, it's not terrible. I think, all right, we can kind of keep the same pace. I got to find where my spot looks. I just scroll down. All right, and I found my spot, so we're good. Yeah, I think, all right, questions aren't like, you're welcome, and let's see, you. All right, here you go. TSB world, need some help. Jacoby Myers or Waddle? Myers had 2 great PPR games in a row, and Waddle's just been scraping to get by. Myers is safer. And from what we've seen of Waddle, like other than week one, there hasn't been a ceiling. So I think we got to go with Myers here. I think his floor is higher, and I don't know that Waddle has shown the ceiling. And amazingly say that, but and I've got Waddle in a couple leagues. It's tough. Passed. You passed the test, Bialy. All right. Evan Ingram. I'm going with Tucker Kraft. Ingram has a bad matchup. Detroit's excellent against tight ends. Tucker Kraft, the Bears are below average, and you can attack them in the middle. I'm going to go with that. Which wide receiver to bench? Pearsall, Higgins, or Marcus Valdez-Scantling? You know what? Your choice. You're playing Higgins, but and they waited. They gave him like almost 4 weeks off, so they waited till he was healthy to bring him back. So I'm not worried about the 1 game ramp up. I think they took their time, so that's a good thing. But Pearsall had that catch and run last week. It was very well designed play. Tampa Bay was terrible. They took a good advantage, but he didn't do a whole lot. Valdez-Scantling gets complete boomer bust. I think Pearsall he probably has a floor of 5 PPR points. Valdez-Scantling has a floor of 0. He has 700-yard games in 7 seasons, regular season. He had a couple of the playoffs, 7 in 7 years. And he had one last week. Now they're playing the Browns. 3 corners. They play man a lot, about 40% of the time. They have a great pass rush, which kills Derek Carr. It's extreme boom bust. I would play Pearsall for the floor, but if you need 14 points, I don't know if Pearsall can get you that. So if you need 14 points, then you got to go Valdez-Scantling. But if you could take your 5 to 9, 5 to 10, I think it's Pearsall and call it a day. All right, let's see where we're at here. Oh, there we go. I might have another super chat. Hang on, and we'll get to DW. All right, super chat. Lotta. Pick 2, Lamb, Dell, or Ladd McConkey. So I'm going to say Dell is in. Dallas is down Deron Bland, an outside corner. They're down their slot corner, Jordan Lewis. Even if Trevon Diggs at times matches up on Dell, that's a mismatch in terms of Diggs the bigger physical guy and Dell's the faster, shiftier guy. So I think there's really no problematic matchup for Dell in this one. As much how much Houston has to throw, that remains to be seen. But I think they'll throw enough. I've got to play Lamb over Ladd McConkey. Look, I know Lamb had 6 for 21 last week, but they're going to have to get him the ball. And he's CD Lamb. He can make something happen out of nothing. And I think if you end up sitting Lamb, he could get 20 points. He could break something and catch and run for 70 yards, and you're going to kick yourself. Ladd McConkey has a nice, solid floor. I don't know that Lamb's floor is much lower, though. So I'm going to go with Lamb and Dell here. It's a great question. I know these are the questions we face, right? All right, see where we're at. Oh, this kicked me down here. Let's see. I'll find my spot here. All right, here we go. I'm close. DW. Pick 2, DJ Moore, Drake London, Amari Cooper, Juju Smith-Schuster. I am going to go with London, and I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. London he's about 30% of the time in the slot, so it's not like every snap he'll have to worry about Surtanum. And they play zone sometimes too, so there's that. And I think London could be active in the red zone if they get there. That's a big deal. And look, Cooper's going to play here. He's going to have a cast on his wrist. He said he's comfortable catching the ball with it. That's enough for me. And Josh Allen getting him the ball. Corner matchups might not be like Steve Spagnuolo is going to get he might put McDuffie on it. Cooper can win. DJ Moore hasn't done anything in 4 weeks. I'm hopeful he turns it around. It's hard. The Packers are a good pass defense. Juju, right? He was great when he was the number 1 for a little bit 1 week against New Orleans. But now with DeAndre Hopkins, how many targets is he realistically getting? And look, Buffalo has 3 good corners. So I'm going with London and Cooper there. All right, see what we got here. Robert, Najee or Jalen? Oh, that's a bad question, man. You're giving me these tough ones. No, I'm going to go with Najee here. Jalen Warren is a back injury, and he's playing, but that's enough for me. That's enough for me because if Najee's healthy right now, I took him off the injury report, but if Jalen Warren takes the wrong hit, the game could be over, and he doesn't have enough upside for me to take that risk. Najee's going to get you 14, 18 touches. He has a chance of scoring a touchdown. Najee has a higher floor because of that volume. And I know Baltimore's great against the run. Najee's been playing reasonably well. Arthur Smith's committed to the run game, and they've been getting success. I'm going to go with Najee here. If it wasn't for the back injury, I would go with Warren. If he didn't have the back injury, because I think he could catch 4 passes, but if his back's bugging him, they might not throw to him as much. They might get more Cordero Patterson on the field. So there's that. Sleek, happy Sunday. It's a week 11 already. Man, we're gonna be not gonna be doing this a whole lot longer. Pollard, Higgins, or Downs. I gotta go with Higgins. Higgins was getting more targets than Chase. I believe they waited till he was 100% healthy to bring him back. Chargers played those three safety looks. There's gonna be a lot underneath. They give that up, and they played some like poor offenses. This isn't one of them. Now if you're nervous, and look, T. Higgins gets everybody nervous, but every game he plays when he was back from the injury, he was really, really good. But if you want just to go extreme floor, you want to make sure you got floor, then it's Tony Pollard. He's getting his 14 to 17 carries. He breaks a run every week. Um, 30, 40% chance of a touchdown. Pollard's the safest, but I don't think there's much ceiling against Minnesota. I think Higgins should have a higher floor. He should have some ceiling, but I know we get nervous at him because of all the letdowns. I don't put Josh Downs ahead of either of these. I love Josh Downs, but I got to trust Richardson. He had the 100-yard game with him, but I don't trust him. Jeff, quarterback issues. Yes, me too. Me too. Tua and May on the bench, waivers, Carr, Richardson, and Winston. You know what? Tua hasn't done much, but he's playing the Raiders this week. Max Crosby gets a rush, but they haven't brought a good pass rush team. Their corners are not good. Hobbs is out for them. I'm gonna look. Achane could catch two passes and take him in the end zone. I'm going with Tua. Sleek, Mooney, Adams, or Hopkins. I'm going to go with Hopkins here. Adams is close, but if the Jets and the Colts are in a low-scoring game, they might not throw a lot. Mooney, I'm worried about Cousins in that pass rush, and then the two outside corners are going to be a little tougher matchup for him. Mooney's has some real favorable matchup. I'm heavily invested in Mooney, full disclosure, but this week I don't like him so much. I'm going to go with Hopkins there for the floor. Sutton or Puka. We're going with Puka on this one. They both have similar floors, but I think Puka has a much higher ceiling. DW, we answered that for you already. Zabby, Gino or Goff. So I'm going with Gino here. Gino gets garbage time every week, it seems like, and there's a good chance that happens here. And Nick Bosa's hurt. He's playing, but he's hurt, and that means the pass protection is terrible for Seattle. They get a boost from that. Goff, it's the problem. They might not have to throw against. Maybe he gets 3 touchdowns in the first half. Maybe he gets that. But if they get a 14-0 lead and they're 2 rushing touchdowns, they might throw 17 passes in this game. So Goff, his floor is too low. And his ceiling is also, even if he gets 3 touchdowns, it could be like 140 yards and 3. So I'm going to go with Gino because Gino gets garbage time every week. Dell or JMO? I'm going with Dell here. Dallas is down 2 corners, as I said. Deron Bland's out. Their slot corner, Jordan Lewis, is out. JMO's boomer bust. He could have a huge game here, but they might not have to throw. And his targets have been low since week 2. Remember, he had 20 targets over the first 2 games, and then he usually gets like 1 to 4 targets. Dell's going to get targets. Nico Collins coming back helps him. I'm going with Dell. Brian, good morning to you as well. Yeah, wide receiver help for sure. Waddle, Jennings, Tillman, Sutton, Ridley. I think Ridley has the most upside of this entire group, but it's the boom bust play. They're playing Minnesota, and Tennessee. Hang on. They're playing Minnesota. Yeah, playing Minnesota. So Will Levis, if those pressure looks confuse him and he gets skittish, that could be a problem. But if he launches it, and Minnesota could have a big lead in this game, Ridley could go off. Your best floor play of this group, it's right, but it's close between all of them. I would tend to go with Tillman as the floor guy because he's the downfield guy for Winston, and they're going to use play action, and the Saints are not good on defense right now. And I think he's your floor guy, but I think Ridley's your boom bust guy. And I would probably play Ridley because I think there could be a really big sling. He's had 3 good games in a row here. The corners are not much of a problem. He can win here. Jeff, Dell or Quentin. Dell's floor is higher. Johnson gets 1 to 3 targets a game. He had a game with 6. Well, no, he gets 2 to 4 targets in most games. He had a 6 in week 2, I think. A couple busted coverages got him touchdowns. He's real hard to predict. And the matchup's great. But I think Tank Dell is an equally good matchup. And I think his floor is higher. So for that, we go with the floor play because Dell's getting at least 6 or 7 targets, which is more than Johnston sees. Anthony, Sutton has a better floor here. Not the greatest of matchups. See some AJ Terrell, but that's not insurmountable. And it's not going to be every play he's on him. I don't know if they're going to shadow him. and Nix has been confident getting in the ball. Downs, he had 100 yards with Richardson last time they played together, so at least he did that. He's had other horrible games with him, but that Downs is volatile. Downs is volatile with Anthony Richardson. So I think Sutton's safer. I don't know that one has a greater ceiling than the other. So I'd go with the floor play. I'd go with Sutton for the floor. You may have asked this. So I said Puka. Brian, Pearsall, Jameson, Dobbs, or JSN. Um, Dobbs is the one receiver I'm not ecstatic about for the Packers. Well, Watson, I'm not either, but the Bears outside corners are good. Jalen Johnson and you got Tyreek Stevenson. And I don't know that the Packers need to waste their time picking on them, so they might not. And JSN's your floor guy. JSN should get you 10 PPR points there. And he has upside for a little bit more. Your boom bust play is Jameson Williams because, again, I don't know how many targets he gets. Sam Laporta's out. They don't do the similar things, but they don't have anybody to replace Laporta. So they may just revamp the offense and just kind of instill Jameson Williams more to game plan. And this is a game where he could go off on 4 targets. So your floor play Smith and Jigba. If you got to swing for defense, boom bust is Jameson Williams. Chargy, morning to you as well. Half PPR, need 2 flex. Dowdle, Najee, or more. You need 2. You know what? I know some people are talking about Elijah Moore. I don't know how much they have. I don't think they're going to trail to the Saints. So I don't think there's a game where Jameis throws 40 times. Therefore, Moore is the number 4 option in the passing game. And I know some weeks he gets the targets. I get it. But those allows them to get out of dodge targets. You're like, oh my God, pass rush coming. Get Elijah Moore. Saints don't get a pass rush. So I'm going with the volume, the floor guys. I'm going with Dowdle, and I'm going with Najee. Elijah Moore, it's Tillman, it's Judy, it's Njoku, any order of those 3, and then it's Moore. But Nick Chubb should have a game here. I'm ruling out Moore for that reason. I don't see a lot of probabilities in his favor. Hear him. Running back in the flex, Dowdle, Pollard, Warren, Keenan Allen, or Bateman. I like Pollard of this group. Warren's a little dinged up. Keenan Allen hasn't done, the Bears passing him is nothing, and it's very hard to think that this new coordinator is going to do anything in a week, and the Packers are good on defense. Bateman, he could get the big play here, but I think this is one of those games. He probably sees some Joey Porter here, and the big play could be a pass interference, so that doesn't help fantasy players. I'm going to go Pollard. Him and Dowdle are close. Pollard seems to get it done every week. He's had bad matchups. He breaks the runs. He's always good for breaking a run. He's a red zone guy. I'm going to go Pollard slightly over Dowdle. Dowdle gets that volume. And Jeff, Tillman or Zay Flowers. Oh, man. You know what? I got to go with Zay Flowers here. It's hard to sit Tillman. It's very hard to sit him. But here's what I'll say. I think where you get the Steelers is the middle of the field. That's where you get after them. And I think that Zay Flowers is often deployed. Sometimes he runs downfield, but sometimes he runs the flats. But they're good at getting him in the middle. And I think if they game plan this out, they're going to pick up the pass rush is going to be coming, even though there's no Highsmith. They still got an elite pass rush. So I think Zay Flowers gets it done in the middle. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers. He has a higher floor than Tillman, and I don't know. Maybe the Browns may not have to throw as much as usual. Charlene's in the house. Good morning, Charlene. Oh, good. You call. I see. I got a question there a little bit further down. I'll get your question about 3 away, maybe 4. Bada bing, boss. Good morning to you as well. Pick one. Happy PR. Downs, Cooper, or Bateman. Yeah, you heard me talk about Cooper. I know he's playing with the cast on his wrist. I still think he's supposed to be fine enough to play. He says he can catch the ball without a problem, and they aren't going to play him if he's not able to. They're not going to decoy him. I don't think that's the case. But that said, Downs did have a 100-yard game recently with Richardson. I know he has a low floor because Richardson could just miss everything. I just think Downs is safer here. Can Cooper have a setback on the wrist? Maybe. Are they forcing him in because it's a big game? Maybe. I think I'd probably just say go safe with Downs. It's close. If your gut says Cooper, go with it because he's been learning the offense, which has been huge while he's been out. And then flex Swift or Dobbins. I'm going to go with Swift. I think, unlike the points where the Chargers are going to trail in this game, and the Bengals have been actually good against the run. I know different people, different things they're good against the run. They're terrible against the pass. And so I think Swift has a good matchup here. Packers are not good against the run. They'll dump them off some passes. All right. There you got a bunch of one with an OG and all that good stuff. Pollard or ETN? Pollard safer. I think ETN has a chance to get it done as a receiver here. But again, in the run game, Detroit's amazing. They're an exceptional run defense. You'd be banking on ETN and garbage time catching 3 passes that turned into something, and that could happen. but it's risky. That offense is a disaster. I would take the safe points in Pollard. But if you got to like swing for defense, there's a chance ETN breaks a reception for a long touchdown. It's in the range, but I think I would just take the safe points with Pollard. All right. And I think we answered that. I clicked the wrong one. That's what I did. There we go. All right, here we go. Dead on Dave. Sutton or Metcalf. I'm going Metcalf here. No Charvarius Ward. You look up the history, like I said earlier on Metcalf, it's bad against 49ers. That's because Charvarius Ward and him getting to their annual fist fights. Ward's out. I'm going there. Charlene, full PPR. Dobbins or Chubb. Oh, you know, I'm going to say Nick Chubb because I love Nick Chubb. That's not why only, though. The whole offensive line is healthy for the Browns. Everybody's off the injury report. Jedrick Wills got basically relegated. It's DeJuan Jones is their left tackle. They have nobody in the injury report, and the Saints can't tackle. Chubb has had 3 bad matchups and 2.7 yards per carry. That reflects that. And then the line was hurt. They're off a bye. Everybody's healthy. I think they can impose their will with Chubb. I think Chubb gets you 80 yards. I think Chubb has a great chance of scoring a touchdown. Dobbins, Cincinnati's better against the run than everybody thinks. They slowed Derrick Henry down twice. Henry had an overtime, like long run in that first meeting. They held him in check for 8 quarters. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Nick Chubb here. All right, next one. Lamb, Tillman, Jennings, Adams, Jacobs, Montgomery. Sit one. It's going to be between – I'm playing Lamb because it's real hard to sit a superstar in this group. Between Tillman and Jennings, I should put Adams in this group too, though. I should put Adams in this group. You know, I think that the Jets and Colts are a lower scoring game. They might have to throw a lot. I'm going to sit Adams because I don't think they're going to throw a lot here. I think Garrett Wilson is more likely to have the game than Adams. I'm going to sit Adams. It's a tough call, as you know. Tua, Darnold, or Winston. I'm going with Tua here. I said earlier, I know they have Max Crosby, but the pass rush isn't great. Not great. And coverage is terrible. Nate Hobbs is out. I'm going to go. I got a super chat question. I'll come back. OG Bobby. Ingram or Pitts? Pitts has a really bad matchup. Detroit's really good against tight ends. Now, of course, the Lions are likely to play a big lead, which means does Ingram get a lot of garbage time targets? Or do the Lions defend him regardless? Pitts, I think Pitts has a great path here. He's off the injury report. He's dealing with a hamstring. He's off the injury report, which is good. The outside corner, all 3 corners for Denver are really good. They're below average against tight ends. And if Coach Robinson schemed this one up right, he sees his mismatch. His mismatch is Kyle Pitts. Now, can I guarantee he'll do it? No. But I play Pitts here because the matchup is way better, and they've shown he has a number of 50-yard games. So it's not like Pitts has been like terrible. He had 11 yards 2 weeks ago, but it was limited with a hamstring in that one, I think. But yeah, and we've seen the upside game already from Pitts, a couple of touchdowns. I'm going to go Pitts here. All right. All right, see where we're at here. All right, here we go. Jay Golub. Hey, to you as well. London, Higgins, Dell, D-Hop need 2 in a PPR. Yeah, you got yourself a real situation here because they're all good plays here. I think the one who doesn't have ceiling here is probably Hopkins. I don't see a ceiling game here. I see a great floor game. And then it comes between London, Higgins, and Dell. And you know what? London, again, he'll play in the slot 30% of the time. And with Surtain, they don't play man all the time. They play well over half of the snaps in zone. So I think London, London's going to get his targets. I don't think you sit London. It's really between Higgins and Dell. And Higgins have been getting more targets than Chase when they played those 4 weeks. And I think they waited till he's back healthy. Now, Dell has real upside. Dallas is down 2 corners, but they could run the ball. They could run the ball down Dallas's throats. And maybe Dell doesn't get needed as much. I'm going to give Higgins the whirl here. I think that the 3 safety looks that the Chargers use is going to leave a lot of open underneath. And I think Higgins can make something happen after the catch. Trust your gut on Higgins, Dell, but I'm going to go London and Higgins. MDAV, Pearsall or Downs? Yeah, I know. The Jets' defense their defense is really not, since they lost Salah, they're not playing with any heart at all. But there's no reason if that's your feel on it, then there's no reason not to trust your gut on that one. Downs will see a lot of DJ Reed. DJ Reed's their slot corner. Not having the best season. He's not playing terrible either, though. He's that with the lights out guy he'd been in the past. Pearsall probably has a decent floor. I think the floor is probably like 4 for 30. I don't know how there's a big ceiling here. That big catch he had last week was great. It was a great scheme play, but that was Tampa Bay, right? Trust your gut. Pearsall's the floor guy. Downs is the boom bust guy. Because remember, Anthony Richardson can throw seam stretchers, and that's what Downs occasionally is used as. Occasionally, so but yeah, trust your gut. Pearsall is your floor guy, though. There's nothing wrong with that. Curtis, this one's close. You've heard me talk about Ingram in the bad matchup, but I still think he gets 7 targets. And Disley, I like his. Cincinnati's terrible against tight ends. I think Cincinnati plays with a lead. Disley's more volatile. Ingram is more stable. I think Ingram in his sleep gets you 8 PPR points, but he might not get you 12. What's Disley's ceiling? I guess that's the question, right? And I don't think it's much more than that. I think you trust the floor of Ingram and go with your stud on that one. Disley's playing really well. And it's a great matchup. I mean, either one, I think Ingram is a safer floor. I think we could bank on the floor. They're going to have to throw him the ball. Anthony Walker, Chase Brown. You got to go Ken Walker here, I think. Los Angeles has been very good against running backs. Now, I know you got to play the deep shell against Cincinnati, so Chase Brown gets a lot of free yards. But I think Kenneth Walker, look, the 49ers on name are a great run defense. They haven't been. They're very attackable. With Metcalf back, it's huge. It's huge because Metcalf, remember, when DK's out, everybody stunk except for JSN. Why? Because defenses could pack it in. Well, with DK, you got to play him complete. No Charvarius Ward. So, yeah, I think the field is opened up for Walker. I think Walker gets you 80 yards. I think he has a decent chance of scoring a touchdown, outside chance of scoring 2. I think you go with Walker. All right, Steven. Pearsall, Waddle, or Smith-Schuster? Close between Waddle and Pearsall. You know, they started to do some different things for Waddle last week. Waddle has a super easy matchup. I'm giving Waddle the edge here. Again, Pearsall had the nice schemed up play for the 40-yard catch last week, and it was very nice. But I think Waddle gets more targets. Non-PPR, man, Mostert was a ghost last week. I think they threw him a couple targets. They didn't run the ball at all to him. If they do, it's a good matchup. Pearsall has a higher floor. But look, it's not a high floor. Mostert, and I don't know if they're putting him back in. I don't know what the deal is. I have no idea. Coach said it was something game script thing. But Mostert could go off in this game. But if they relegated him and we don't know it, then he gets you 0. So if you want to bank a few safe points, call it Pearsall. But if you need 10 points, 12 points, you got to take the risk on Mostert. This is a tough one. PPR is a very tough one. Look, New Orleans can't tackle. Chubb's getting 14, 15 carries. This is the first easy matchup he's had. Chubb is a safer floor. And he could score touchdowns. I'm going to go with the high floor playing Chubb. You know, it's funny. Hunter Henry is playing great. And then, of course, Austin Hooper keeps getting all these stinking targets. And now all of a sudden, like what happened to Hunter Henry last week, right? You just cannot trust that team. Taysom Hill's going to get his 4 targets, his 4 or 5 carries. If they're at the goal line, he has a chance. They both have floors. In theory, Hunter Henry should do well, but it's really aggravating to see Hooper getting those 3, 4 targets because they're at Hunter Henry. And then DeMario Douglas in the middle, I think this is kind of a game for him. I'm going to lean Taysom. That's a tough one. It's a great question. Uncle Ted, Ricky, Rocket, Pearsall to the moon. I hope for you he does. He's the 4th option in the offense. I had been in San Francisco. That could work. Kyle Shanahan's a genius. Andrew, London, Sutton, or Jaden Reed? Well, you heard me talk about London before. It's very hard to sit him. Jaden Reed has had bad games. And I think the matchup's great against the Bears. I think the middle's where you attack him. He had 113 yards in his last game. I think he's on for a stretch run, but I think the safest play is London. I think London's going to get you 9 targets. He won't be on Surtain all day. Again, they play zone a lot. London moves in the slot a lot. London's the safest, but I think the highest. I don't think London has a big ceiling here. I think Jaden Reed could go off, but he also has a low floor if they don't use him right. So I think if you need huge points, you go Reed. But if you want to get yourself like 12 points, then you go at London. I don't put Sutton in the equation here. All right, where are we at? Yeah, questions wise. Yeah, I think we're okay. Got 17 minutes. I'm gonna go quicker through these because I know more questions will pop in. These will be kind. I should have explained your player already if you've been listening, so I can just give you the answer here at this point. All right, full PPR: Delroy, Stevenson, Waddle, Knox, and Estime start two. I'm going with Stevenson and Waddle here. I didn't talk about Estime all day. Oh, I did once real early. Again, he was like 14 for 53, no targets. If he doesn't get a red zone look, it's a problem. So he's a little bit worrisome for me. Knox is not a 1-for-1 replacement for Kincaid, and I know Casey's bad against tight ends. I just think he's more of a red zone option. Jason Stevenson safer. Stevenson safer has a higher floor, so I'd go with him. Love Cooper, but man, that's tough with the wrist cast on. Sanders or Boswell down to kickers. I'm sorry, ringside riffs. I'll go with the higher over and under in a game. I'm luck. Kickers are all luck, and I have zero luck. I got skill, but I have no luck. Delroy, this one. We're going Cooper. I'm going Cooper in this one. Where am I at? All right, here we go. Winston or Goff? I think, man, Goff might only have to throw 18 times in this game. And if he doesn't get 3 touchdowns on those, he could get you like 8 points. Winston has a higher floor. I'm going with Winston. Goff has upside. Look, Goff could throw 20 passes and 4 of them could be touchdowns. So Goff's your boom bust, but I just don't see him throwing more than like, they even say 22 passes. I don't see him throwing more than that in this game. They should win in a blowout. Ronnie. Hey, Marion. I have no idea who that is. You have to re-ask the question. I have no idea who A. Marion is. Oh, Alexander Madison. Okay, that helps. All right, Madison or Mostert. They pulled the rug on Madison at the goal line last week at Zamir White. Mostert, they relegated him last week. I would tend to go with Mostert because if they didn't pull the rug on Madison at the goal line a couple weeks ago and put Emir Abdullah in the game when they were trailing, so they're going to trail. And if they're going to put Abdullah in, too much risk with Madison. I go with Mostert. You're welcome, Big Back. Adam. Rodgers, Stafford, or Love? Of this group, I'm more inclined to go with Love. I think Love has a higher floor of the group. Stafford, again, if they run the ball, they may not throw as much. I think the highest ceiling of this group is Stafford, but I think they have a lot of success on the ground. I think Love is the best blend of floor and ceiling. If you got to shoot for the moon and Stafford, because I don't think Love has that game where he's throwing 4 touchdowns. Bears pass defense is really good. So that'd be it. Flowers. I'm going with Flowers. I think you attack the Steelers in the middle of the field. I think they'll weaponize them there. I'm going with Dell in this one. You heard me break those players down earlier in detail. Good question. Delroy. Still going with Flowers there. Reynaldo, Estime, Quentin Johnson, or Mike Williams. I think Estime has the best floor of this group. I think Quentin Johnson is your boom bust play. Mike Williams played 12% of the snaps last week, and I got to see him play a little more before I move him into that discussion. So I think Estime is your floor play. It's not a great floor, but it's a floor. Quentin Johnson usually gets about 4 targets a game. He could do something on those. Cincinnati's a bad pass. So if you want ceiling, go Quentin Johnson. If you want floor, go Estime. Troy, Hunt, Jacobs, Walker. I'm going with Jacobs and Walker here. Walker, the 49ers, as long as they have Metcalf on the receiver that opens the field up, I'm going to go with the 2 better players right now. All right, see here. Disley or Jonnu Smith or Hudson. That's a tough one. I'm going to go. They all could have high PPR games. Smith's been used a little bit more of a weapon. I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith here. The highest floor is maybe Hudson. The highest floor may be Hudson, though. But I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith. I think Smith is a touch more ceiling. Charbonnet, Hill, or Davis. I'm going to go with Charbonnet because Chiefs are really good against the run. That may make Davis struggle a little bit. Delroy is a tough one. Knox is touchdown or bust. I'm going to go with Ferguson's get you 7 points today. I'm going to go with Ferguson. He'll get you about 7 points. I'll take the 7 points and call it. Cooper. I'm going to go with Cooper here. I don't know how much upside Pearsall has, and Cooper should get targets here. I'm going with Cooper until DJ Moore. DJ Moore hasn't had more than 33 yards in the last 4 games. Until the Bears show me something, I can't play him over a good player. A lot of Dobson Johnson or Mike Wilson. Dobbins, I'm going to go Dobbins. Dobbins is a higher floor than the rest of this group. If you got to go boom or bust, it'd be Quentin Johnston. But I still play Dobbins because if Dobbins finds the end zone, I think he beats them all. Eric Allen or Russell, or Josh Allen or Russell Wilson. Look, I can't sit Josh Allen. And Allen runs a lot when he plays the Chiefs. These high stakes games, I think last time he played, he ran 12 times, 12, 14. Yeah, and that's a big deal. Russell Wilson, look, good downfield matchup, but Josh Allen's floor is very good. Question for next week. Joshua Palmer. You know what? Palmer is like big play or coverage bust dependent. I would probably go with Addison because neither's a good option, but ultimately Addison would probably see more red zone looks. That's probably what I would go on. I'm going with Lamb. 6 for 21 is probably last week is probably as good as what Waddle will get. So Lamb has a better chance of making something happen. Look, they both are super risky. You know that. But I'm going to go with the superstar. Pollard or Harris. I'm going with Pollard here. Pollard breaks something every week against tough matchups. Harris has a bad matchup. I'm going to go Pollard. Yeah, I mean, they use Jonnu Smith regularly. I mean, can they decide this week not to? They talked him up again this week that they love him. So I think he gets you to 5 targets. So yeah, I think he gets you 5 targets. He has a chance to score. He just missed last week. He tackled on 1. I got a super chat. Hang on. OG Bobby, Dobbins, Hopkins, Jennings, Tillman. Dobbins probably has the most established floor. He's not going to get a ton, but he should get a couple targets. He has a chance to score. He has the best floor of this group. Tillman is more your boom bust play. I think Jameis could take the downfield shot, but they might not have to throw a ton. So I would go with the floor play in Dobbins here, but I would give strong consideration if you need to go for ceiling. Tillman could have that game because New Orleans is not playing well on defense right now. All right, where are we at here? I may not have answered them. Jason, I'm going to go with Cooper. DJ Moore, I love him, but until they show me they're going to use him differently, he hasn't had 35 yards in the last 4 games. So I just got to go with Cooper, who I think will see targets despite the cast on his wrist. I'm going to go with MVS here. It's a bad matchup, tough pass rush, but Cleveland's been busting coverages, and there's like literally nobody else for the Saints. Now, Valdez got like a 700-yard games in the last 7 seasons in the regular year season. He has 2 like playoff games at 100 yards, but that's 1 per season. And he had one last week. So the probability of him having one, right? Ig. But yeah, I'm going to go with MVS here. Yeah, Walker over Hunt. With Metcalf back, the field spreads out, and we can begin to see the Walker we saw before they lost Metcalf. I answered that already. I answered that one too, but maybe I didn't. I got to speed through. We got 9 minutes. Yeah, I got a bunch of them. We're going with Chubb there. Matchup is great. Tom, Winston or Pollard? Oh man, can't sit a quarterback. Pollard doesn't have like a whole lot of upside. Bad matchup. We're gonna go with the quarterback here. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins D against the Raiders. Kansas City's terrible against the slot. Shakir has a super high floor. Shakir is a super high floor, so I would trust him for that. If you got to go boom or bust, Ridley could go off here when they're trailing because the corners aren't very good, but the simulated pressures are bad for Will Levis, so you're being very risky. But if you need a huge game, Shakir's not getting a huge game. So you need a huge game, go Ridley, but you're risking like very little. If you want a very solid like 15 PPR points, it's Shakir. All right, Tillman, London, or Cook? Cook in the second matchup, which is the playoffs last year against the Chiefs, really got slowed down, and they're better against the run this year. I'm going to go with London. I think London has a higher floor. I'm projecting Pearsall to go about 4 for 40, so that helps you. That helps you. Knox or Taysom? I'm going with Taysom. More guaranteed floor. Those that are expecting Knox to be a replacement for Kincaid, they don't play the same position. They're both tight ends. One's a slot receiver. One's more of a inline blocker that'll leak out. Fuzzy, Cooper, Dell, or Pollard? Oh, wow, that's a tough one. Pollard has the highest floor. Tank Dell is your boom bust play. If you need 20 points, But you're risking like a 4 or 5, then it's Dell. If you want to get like double digits and like low and just reasonable, it's Pollard. Drake, Ridley, Hopkins, sit 1. I'm probably sitting McConkey here. Drake plays in the slot enough. Ridley, like I said, he's boomer bust, but I think the Minnesota corners, if they got to throw something, he'll get it done. I'm going to sit Lad McConkey here. I don't think his ceiling is the same as the rest. It's between him and Hopkins, really. Hopkins has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Ladd, though. So, yeah. You're not safe playing Jennings over Flowers. I think Flowers in the middle of the field. Remember, he has like a bunch of 100-yard games and he has a bunch of nothing games. I think you attack Pittsburgh in the middle, and I think they're going to get him there. So, but they both are good plays. They're both good plays. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. I'd start Flowers if it's my lineup. Aaron Jones, he's about for Zay Flowers or Tillman. Probably not. Jones has bankable volume. Not worried about the matchup. I know the numbers say Tennessee. They're not that. They haven't played a lot of great run defense or run offenses. Zay Flowers is close. Flowers could outscore him, but I think Jones is safer. I'd go with the Texans, and I know they're down. I know they're down. Will Anderson, but still go there. Lauren, Jim Cooperman need 3. MVS, Mooney, Metcalf, Quentin Johnson, Amari Cooper. I'm going to go with Metcalf and Amari Cooper, and then for the third one, Mooney's matchup scares me. Quentin Johnson's targets are limited, but I probably go Quentin Johnson as my third one. I go Quentin Johnson as the third one. I answered that already. Brian Thomas Jr. here. He gets more targets. He should be a week healthier. Yeah, I'll go Brian Thomas Jr. here. Najee, Ridley, or Hopkins. Najee is a bad matchup. He could score. The boom bust of Ridley's worth it here. I think the boom bust of Ridley's worth it here. He has to get some kind of a floor, and he could have a ceiling. Chase Brown, aren't you playing football today? All right, Thomas Jr., Palmer. We're going with Thomas Jr. again here. I'm going to get these done quick for you guys. I got 5 minutes. I got to get out. All right, Tillman or Pollard? Pollard for floor. Waddle. I'm going to go with JMO. I think that with Laporte out, he gets more targets than usual. I know they're different positions, but so tight ends to stream, Tanner Hudson, Will Dissly, AJ Barner. Those are all possibilities. I would start Jennings in this one. I would start Shakir and Tillman. Mostert's inactive, so there we have it. I told you we were up to something. There. Thanks for adding that. All right. So what happens when you're doing a stream and you're not following the inactives, right? Pearsall. Estimate doesn't get any targets. I'm going to go with Pearsall here. Albert. I hope you do it. Totally get you. Next. Love or Herbert. I'm going to go with Herbert here. Bears are a tougher secondary. I think Herbert has to chase points. JMO. I'm going to go with Jaden Reed here. Higher floor, similar ceiling. Better ceiling, maybe. Chubb is safer. Well, Tyson, if I'm doing a stream when inactives go off and I'm doing a stream, how do I know a player's inactive unless somebody tells me? I could do some things, but I can't do 7 things at a time. Estime or Warren? It's a tough one. Warren has the back injury. I still think he catches passes. It's risky here. Estime doesn't catch passes. So like 14 for 53 last week, that was a good game for him, right? But that was it. I got to go with Warren. I know his back is hurt. If you're worried about his back, then play Estime. Henry or Knox. I'm going to go with Henry. Again, I just don't know that Knox sees many targets. You're banking on a touchdown, and that's really tough to count on. Ferguson should get you 7 points. I'll go with him. Darnold, I'm going with Geno. Geno usually gets garbage time. Hard to sit a superstar. I know Tillman's been great. I'm going with London here. I think he gets enough done. Tillman potentially has more upside, but I think London has a much higher floor. Oops, here you go, Angel. I'm going with Andrews here. He has been playing extremely well, and his matchup is not problematic. I don't think that the Steelers are going to have much of an answer in the middle of the field for him. Very close. I think Jennings has more ceiling, and they both have similar floors. I go Jennings. 10-man PPR, tight end to stream. I think I answered that for somebody already. James, Hawkinson, Kraft, and Estime, tight end, and a flex. I go with the 2 tight ends here. Yeah, I think that works very nicely. And Njoku, I don't know how much they have to pass, but he's a big factor in that. Opposite Andrews been playing very well. Yeah, I think Cooper's close. Cooper over Njoku's close, but he got the wrist on his hand. It's a risk. Why take the risk when you have 2 good options? I think you're fine doing that. Dr. Alberto, it's a tough one here. Atlanta's better on defense than I think a lot of people think. I'm going to go with Russ here, and I know their passing percentage of 2-3 has been bad, but Baltimore gives up passes downfield, and that's what he does well. Oh wow, that's a good one. I'm going to go with London. He has a better chance to score a touchdown. Ronnie, yeah, Ronnie. Let me see if I can find. Let me get the final word on Mostert here. Let me just see if I can find out for everybody here. And I got like 1 minute, and I got to go. But NFL. Let's go to Mostert here real quick. Let's get a final word on this. Mostert. I have no confirmation on being inactive. So whoever I'm answering, I have nothing listed on RotoWire, and we cover everything. So I don't know what to tell you. So Mostert's playing, but like I said, be very worried about Mostert because last week he was like relegated out of the rushing game. They had some weird answer. He's boom bust because he could have a game if they use him, but if they don't, you get that. All right, good deal here. Del J, ETN, Warren, Hawkinson, Pearsall. ETN's your boomer bust because he could catch some screens if they're down. We know there's no Bigsby. I think your safest play for floor is going to be Hawkinson. Tua has a great matchup. I would tend to lean him, Shannon. Dalton, Pittman, Pearsall, JMO, all of this group, you're going to laugh at me when I say this. Waddle has the best floor of this group, but Jameson Williams has a much higher ceiling because there's no Laporta. They might have to reallocate targets, and the matchup's great. So if you need a big game, you go Williams. If you need a high floor, you go Waddle. All right, I'm going to get these last couple done. I got to leave. Tyson, Mostert, thank you. So here's the answer. RotoWire does not have anything on Mostert. That's all I got. I don't know. Do what you need to do. Tyreek or Cedric Tillman this week. I'm an idiot, but I'm going to play Tyreek Hill. He had a 70 and 80 yard game in the last 3. He had a touchdown last week. I'll go with Hill. But if your gut says Tillman, trust it. Last 2. Dr. Roberto, you're welcome. We had instant reactions tonight. And last one. Ferguson and Disley are close. I'm going to go with Disley. I think I probably got to pass. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the games. Talk soon.